Hey there, I'm Kelly Sienkowski with Potomac Local News, and we are shining the spotlight on our local Stafford County School Board election. With me today is Annette Scharpenberg. Annette, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Kelly. It's nice to meet you too.
I'm so glad to hear that. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, I have been a Stafford resident for almost 28 years. I am married and I was a military wife for a number of years. I still am. I have always enjoyed education. I graduated with a K through 12 certification. I have been in public schools, private schools. I have taught adult reading ESL programs, and I've taught at the university level. At Mannheim High School, which was a wonderful experience with the DoD school system. I was the social studies department chair, that's my first love. So I have always enjoyed just being either associated with public schools or being in the classroom. Now in Stafford, I have tried to get out and volunteer in the community. I have worked for almost 15 years through the regional food bank, working at a food pantry. I've volunteered some time at the Thurman Brisbane shelter, and I'm a member of the Salvation Army Women's Auxiliary. So getting out into the community, meeting people, trying to extend a helping hand has always been important to me.
I'm great, Annette. For our viewers, what we have done is we emailed all of the candidates for the school board elections this year, and we invited them to participate in this interview series. So we've got the same 5 questions for each candidate, and we'll go ahead and start with the first one. Annette, with Stafford's rapid growth and increasing school enrollment, what are the biggest challenges ahead, and how can the school board ensure that the schools can meet that demand?
Well, obviously, Stafford is going to continue to grow. There's no doubt. And the biggest areas of growing population is Southern and Western Stafford. Funding obviously is the issue. Right now, we are underfunded, and in a lot of cases, we're understaffed. So we are going to have to build new schools, and it's going to be on the school board to continue to go back to Richmond, to our legislatures. We have to be aggressive because Stafford, you can't keep going back to Stafford taxpayers for this. There is the legislatures actually they there is a joint legislative and review committee, and Stafford is being underfunded. That JLARC, what I just mentioned, is it was created by the legislature, and if you look at the dynamics, if you look at the reports, for example, there is underfunding for special education. It's dropped from 2013 all the way to 2023. That's just one example. We have increased a little bit with ESL, but again, Stafford has a lot of non-English speaking students, and ESL, for example, it's a big issue. So the school board is going to have to go back and just not let them off the hook. We need better funding.
So, other than funding, what do you think the school board's top priorities should be?
I think my number one priority would be to ensure that our students are safe. A safe environment, whether you're walking to school, you're on the playground, you're in the bus, maybe you're at extracurricular activity, and especially in the classroom. There has to be consequences for poor behavior. We do have a zero tolerance policy for bullying, but that is something that we need to stay on top of. So a safe environment is one. Number two, I want to make sure that all of our students, whether they're ESL, special ed, whatever it is they need, that they're getting the services that they need. safe transportation, our school buses, and I know Stafford has worked pretty hard late spring and early summer to take a look at the routes, bus routes, and make sure that, we are serving our families. Also, I think that the school board should make it a priority to develop a really good relationship with the Stafford County Board of Supervisors. There should not be this, not necessarily conflict, but this pull and tug every time we're talking about funding. We need to reach out, make sure they know what our problems are, our circumstances, and keep them informed. So that would be one of my biggest priorities. And this is my personal thing for wanting to run for the school board, is I don't want to see one student graduate who cannot read and write. I don't want them to fall between the cracks. I don't want them to leave them behind. So that's one of my biggest priorities right there.
Thank you, Annette. So you actually kind of touched on my next question. The school board and the Board of Supervisors often share responsibilities for funding and long-term planning. So how would you describe the ideal working relationship between the school board, the Board of Supervisors, and other departments? And you kind of touched on it. So if you want to maybe kind of recap it a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is my perception, and it may be incorrect, but I think that the school board should be a little bit more forthcoming on how they're using the money. What committees are they forming? What kind of feedback or issues do the parents have with Stafford Public Schools? We need to keep that up front out there, and so that the Board of Supervisors understand that if there are problems with their constituents, for example, just location of where new schools would be, the school board really doesn't have any input in that, but the Board of Supervisors would. So I think we need to be good friends. I think we need to have a really good give and take, and not just once a year. We need almost like a monthly liaison. Hey, let's get together and have a cup of coffee. This is what the school board's doing, that kind of thing. So it's just a good sharing of information and communication.
That makes sense. So Annette, if you are elected, how would you approach budget priorities? What areas of school spending do you think we need more investment, and where, if any areas, would you cut costs?
Well, just from reading the JLARC report, obviously our non-English speaking students, that would be a big priority. Our special ed students, as I've said earlier, the funding has been reduced for them. So I think that is a really big area. I'm not sure I would reduce funding anywhere. Everything that Stafford offers leads to a well-rounded, very well-educated person. So I'm not in favor of cutting funds. I'm actually wanting to go to the state legislature and asking for more. I do have one thing that it just may be a personal quirk for me, but I always wrote on the board when I was teaching school. So my students had to look at that, write it down, and then they would have to go to the textbook, like fill in the blank kind of things. And I think sometimes, like with Chromebooks or whatever, that might shorten the process. And you're thinking, well, she has an archaic attitude, but no, I really think our students need to kind of slow down a little bit. They need to, I want to make sure that they can read and write and take direction. I just feel like a lot of our students don't even know what cursive writing is. So again, maybe I'm a dinosaur, but I just think that, we don't really need the laptops, but I'm sure that 99% of our people would disagree with me. But that's just, and I'm not going to do anything to, if I'm elected, I'm not going to vote against it, but I'm just saying my years in the classroom, uh, students need, their brain is still developing, and they need to slow down, write words out, think what they're going to say, so that would be my answer.
Thank you. So our final question is, what makes you the right person to represent your district? And what would you want voters to know as they head towards the polls?
Um, So I think I'm a good candidate because, first of all, I have a great deal of experience. I mean, because I was a military wife, we moved around. So I've been in several different public schools. I've taught in private schools. I've taught, actually, I taught soldiers on a military base, to read in English skills. So I have classroom experience. I know what it takes to walk into that classroom every day. I also know that teachers are often overburdened with admin tasks. Many of the teachers need more paraprofessionals in their classroom just to help them. I also, I think I'm a pretty down-to-earth person. Um, I I am retired, so here's my key point. I have the time to put in uh, to being on the school board. If I need to put in 20 hours a week, I can do that. Um, Honestly, I don't know how someone who works full time can actually take on the school board too, but that's just my opinion. So, and I would be very quick responding to a constituent's question, a situation. I'd be glad to represent them in whatever, kind of incident came up. So in that regard, and I still have a good mind. So, and I just have always loved public education. So I'm pretty passionate.
Thank you so much, Annette. For our viewers, this is part of our series where we are putting the spotlight on your local candidates for the school board election. Stay curious, but stay informed and follow Potomac local news so that you know who's on the ballot. Annette, thank you so much for spending your time with me this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed it too. Thanks,
I'm so
Kelly.
glad. Take care,
Yeah,
everyone. Have a great day.
you too. Bye bye.